Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
So we're here to speak to Sophie Sang. She worked as a data scientist at Facebook based in the US, and most of her work was related to discovering inauthentic behavior or coordinated activity on Facebook. And we wanted to ask her what this all means for Facebook, what this all means for India especially, and does this affect how we vote? So, Sophie, thank you so much for making time to speak to me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here. With that said, in December of 2019, I found four separate networks of accounts that were acting to boost specific political messages in India. Two of them were supporting the INC, two of them were supporting the BJP. So these were, these were separate operations essentially, and they were certainly across the political spectrum. And so I flagged them. There have been cases in which Facebook doesn't want to act because it doesn't think the country is important enough, or etc. India is considered quite important by Facebook, so it was a priority from the start. And so it quickly was agreed that yes, these were bad. So let's take them down. Let's take all four of them down. And we took three of them down, and we were about to take the fourth when suddenly we stopped, because we suddenly realized that the fourth network of fake accounts was directly run by a member of the Lok Sabha. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing it. But the member of the Indian Parliament was someone close to him, a member of a BJP parliamentary member. And then suddenly after that, everything stopped. Because I asked repeatedly, can we at least come to a decision to this? Can we make a decision? I never got an answer. Later, as time went on, I found a different network. In January that was benefiting, that was working in the Delhi elections. The Delhi statewide elections, I think, were in February of 2021. Is that correct? Or was it January? I don't remember. It's been a while. But regardless, when I was working on the Delhi elections, I was trying to get that taken down. I was in conversations with people, and they were talking to me about the Delhi case, and they would mention, by the way, can we come to a decision on this BJP politician case? If nothing else, it will look terrible for us if it comes out that we acted in one case but not the other. And I was never given any answer or even acknowledgement that I was asking these questions. And like, if you send someone an email and they don't respond, maybe they didn't see it. But if you send a lot of people different emails and they never respond, if you keep raising this to people and they don't respond, if you're in conversations with someone and talking about them about one matter, but they don't respond to the other that you keep raising, it's very clear that something very funny is going on.
All right. Would you remember the name of the BJP politician?
I certainly do, but I don't want to raise it at this juncture. Just, I'm happy to discuss it with you off the record, but just because ultimately this is a problem that is much greater than a single BJP politician. Even a very silly or stupid one, because because I found, frankly, the network that I found regarding him, it was not that large. It was about 60 accounts. It was very small, and they wouldn't even feel that it was worth mentioning, except for the fact that, firstly, a politician or someone close to him was personally running this, and secondly, that as soon as that was discovered, Facebook stopped acknowledging that it even existed.
Sophie, you said you discovered 4 networks related to India. So do you remember how many accounts were in each of these networks?
I don't remember the exact details, but it was, each one ranged between several hundred to several dozen to several hundred. The BJP politician one was quite small. But like, Of the ones, the largest that I found was a bit complicated, and that was the net. So I mentioned 4 networks, 2 of which were supporting the INC. So after we took down one of the networks, that network came back with new users and also became active in the 2020 Delhi elections, supporting the AAP. This was quite unusual because the users were supporting 2 Indian political parties at the same time. Actually, they were supporting the Punjab INC and the Delhi AAP, and actually at the time, I think in Punjab, the INC and AAP were at odds from my recollection of the news articles. But I mean, certainly I'm not an expert on Indian politics. But in that case, we ultimately took down a bit over 1,000 accounts, 1,090 fake accounts. So this is what most of the accounts did. I wrote that the one in Delhi was the most sophisticated because it involved a large number of users who pretended to be supporters of the BJP and supporters of Prime Minister Modi as a way of gaining credibility to convince people to support the AAP. And what I mean is they would write things like, "I voted for Modi, but that is what Modi is getting it done. Is getting it done nationally. Now it is time to support Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi."
Would you know why this? Have you seen that happen before?
It was very unusual. I don't know why. Like maybe like for instance, here are some possibilities. In a number of cases we found in India, the accounts appear to be essentially mercenaries. They are people who are motivated by being paid to run things, and then they are paid by people who have their own political motives. So maybe the Punjab INC and the Delhi AAP both gave these people money, and they decided to save on time and use the same accounts. Maybe the Punjab INC decided to support the AAP in Delhi for some reason. Maybe both political parties hired the same marketing firm who did this for them, and they don't know precisely what the marketing firm did. Maybe I mean, maybe there's someone who supports both the Punjab INC and the Delhi AAP and decided to do this as their own personal initiative. Like, there are lots of different reasons. My guess is that this was a coincidence just because this was so unusual. Someone decided to get shoddy and save money or something like that. It was just very strange, especially because some of the accounts, the same accounts, were opposing the BJP, the national BJP, while supporting the INC in Punjab, while at the same time saying they support the BJP, while talking in Delhi and saying we support the BJP. Modi is great, but do you know who's even greater? Arvind Kejriwal or something like that.
And these inauthentic networks or coordinated networks, was there hate speech that they were promoting, or was it just about promoting a particular politician by saying this politician backs these causes?
I would describe them as focused on backing specific politicians and rather than specific political issues. That was something. I mean, that is my general experience with inauthentic activity or etc. Like, to the extent that hate speech is espoused, often it's as a vehicle to an end of gaining popularity and distinguishing oneself. Like, there's a common stereotype that fake accounts are used to spread misinformation, are used to spread hate speech, and etc. But the reality of the situation, I found, is that most inauthentic activity by fake accounts falls into the realm of otherwise accepted otherwise accepted speech, and most hate speech and most misinformation is spread by real accounts, often real people who believe the information. So ultimately, it's hard for me personally to say what impact it has, but I think it's very clear that many important people, including in India, but do believe that it does have an impact. I mean, that's precisely why IT cells are common in Indian politics. And why many Indian political parties feel it's important to have coordinated groups of accounts spreading the same message, sometimes fake accounts, because they have presumably looked at data and decided that this is worthwhile rather than throwing money down a drain.
So on that note, Sophie, thank you so much for your time, and to our viewers, thank you very much as well. For ThePrint, this is Regina Munduglasuri.
A Facebook company spokesperson told ThePrint, "We fundamentally disagree with Ms. Zhang's characterization of our priorities and efforts to root out abuse on our platform. We aggressively go after abuse around the world and have specialized teams focused on this work. As a result, we've already taken down more than 150 networks of coordinated inauthentic behavior. Around half of them were domestic networks that operated in countries around the world, including those in India. Combating coordinated inauthentic behavior is our priority. We're also addressing the problems of spam and fake engagement. We investigate each issue before taking action or making public claims about them."